Hello everybody, welcome to this special reading. I'm doing this reading because I've currently got a little over 400 subscribers and I wanted to say thank you. And we normally do stuff like true crime readings, occasionally we'll do some other stuff like pick a card stuff. And in this case I wanted to thank you guys by making a ancestral pick a card reading, which is to say you can choose one of these piles. This is pile 1, and this is pile 2, and this is pile 3. And this will be messages from your ancestors. Also, in case you're curious about what decks these are, this is the Urban Tarot deck, this is the Wise Dog Tarot, and this is the Muse deck. Make sure to take a moment to focus on the piles, and when you're ready, go to the link to see what your ancestors want to tell you. Hello pile 1, let's take a look what you've got. We've got these round cards underneath here as well. These are the archetype cards. Those are going to be themes that your ancestors want you to focus on. So we're going to take a look at those first. And then we're going to go into the tarot cards to see what else we have. First of all, we've got the 1. I'll put that over here. Then we've got the mask. So that's like a one side dark, one side light. And we've got Thanatos. Alright, so Thanatos is like a death and grieving type of thing. No need to be worried about that. Let's just go take a look at these cards one by one. So the 1 and the mask together seem to tell me, like, in the ancestral line that you're in, you definitely have a very important role to play. And it's got something to do with this side in particular. Like you see here, kind of like the light ends here and then you got the dark over there. I feel like this is saying you are somebody at a long line of some family history, so to speak. Maybe certain things have always been an issue in your family, and there's some certain negative things that have been passed down from generation to generation. And this to me is telling me that you need to confront this part over here, the negativity that's been kind of stuck in the web over here. Your family has been stuck in this Thanatos web, and it's your turn to end that, to break that spell almost. I don't really want to call it a spell, but more like you're the one to stop it. The buck stops here, that type of thing. You're able to deal with it somehow, or you should try to focus on doing that because you are ideally gifted to do that, to end this cycle. So that's what this lineup is saying over here. I think this mask is kind of like a reference to how you're able to portray a sense of normalcy, even though you have a lot of family history behind you that might be causing this or has been dragging along over the years. Yeah, so definitely you are the one to do something about this negativity to kind of stop it so that future generations or people who are affected by members of your family in the future will not be affected by this as well. So that's what I'm seeing so far. Now let's take a look at the tarot cards. We have, first of all, the Tower in reverse. I'm going to put them a little bit closer over here because there isn't that much space. Tower in reverse, that's definitely the thing that's been held off the entire time. The stuff that's stuck in the web, or the reason why it's still stuck in the web. And then we have here the 2 of Cups in reverse. So that says to me, like, in order to do this, you might risk damaging a relationship with somebody who is also stuck in that web. So perhaps there are more people. There's always somebody extra involved in the family, of course. If it's like something that's passed down from generation to generation, there'll be people who support this somehow. It'll be a system that's like ingrained, and this is just how we do it, and we've always done it like this, etc., etc. And you might end up causing some issues by no longer wanting to participate in that, and that's what I think is the 2 of Cards message here. Then we have the Fool. So this to me, particularly because we're putting it on the dark side and with a bit of an overlap on the Mask card, says to me, instead of going with the flow here, which may lead down the river to, I don't know, a cesspool or something, the negativity that's always been there, why not just kind of ignore that and let the universe take you where it will? Just kind of pretend like none of this is a thing, step out of that, step into the light, and head towards being the one to break away from that, because others will probably follow. We have the Five of Swords here in reverse, so that's kind of like the conflict that'll probably happen. I feel like this conflict will be going underground, if you want to look at it that way. Because normally upright, it's like the Five of Swords is a combat with words, disagreements, other types of conflicts. I think this conflict is going to go underwater, going to be in the undertow, so to speak, if we stick in the water theme of the river. On the surface, people are going to be okay with what you're doing, and secretly they will not, because they'll still be stuck in that mindset of this is how it used to be, and why aren't they doing that right now? Like, why are they going the other way? Aren't they one of ours? What's going on with them? And then we have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I see this as kind of like an upheaval. Well, not really upheaval, more like Four of Pentacles is usually more of a financial balance thing, and this definitely might cause some issues with the finances, or at least resources perhaps will not be spent as readily on you, or there'll be difficulty perhaps. Maybe you have to let something go in order to achieve this. And then we have the High Priestess here, because you are intuitively aware of the issue that is the matter, and that you need to let it go. And this might be the stage with you just thinking it over, perhaps even coming up with a plan, the way that you could perhaps do this with the least amount of trouble or fuss in the family. But ultimately you know what the correct path is, because you just feel intuitively what the right thing to do is. There's the High Priestess. Then we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. Now this says the artist, or the painter, yeah, kind of close. So I feel like this somehow means like, it could be that there's somebody in your family who is very, not painter-like or artistic-like, but somebody who is a Queen of Swords, who is very much in their mind, who has a certain way of speaking. Perhaps you might have to go against them, and they might cause a lot of trouble, but this could also be a representation of yourself, just kind of like mulling everything over and drawing up a clear path. You can see lots of tools as well on the table to do this with. Like, you have the resources that you need, at least mentally, to get out of this. Moving over a little bit because I've got two more cards here. Then we have the Four of Swords, which says truce. So this is a step back, and perhaps looking at things from another perspective as well. It's also going to be placed here between the Fool and the Five of Swords. I tend to look at the placement of how I put things on the table as well. So I feel like after you're done playing the Fool, quote unquote, and you've got this stuff going on underwater, people are gonna kind of drop it. Not necessarily like this isn't over, that type of thing, but it's more like, well, just let them do it for a while. They'll eventually figure out that they're in the wrong, that type of thing. I feel like that's the type of chill that's going to end up falling over the people around you and the people in your family. They'll think, oh, well, you know, eventually they'll see the truth and they'll have no choice but to come back. But I don't think so, because we have here the Six of Cups, which is usually like a childhood memory thing, but I feel like this is more of a remembrance of how things used to be, sort of a comfort thing as well, maybe catching up with other people in the past that you may have now or had to have passed up in the past due to whatever issues there were in the family. You might end up making connections that will last you a long time as well, because it's kind of like a melancholy card, but I also feel like this is a comfort card. Perhaps you're making memories with other people now as a result of this. So I'm going to put that over here. After the truce, you will find pleasure. So this is kind of like the reward as well. After you're done exposing, or rather ignoring, the issues in your family by not going along with it anymore, there's going to be some falling out. You're going to just do your own thing, or at least your ancestors are advising you to do your own thing and ignore all the squabbling with the swords here. there is going to be a slight issue with the resources perhaps, but that's really not going to be as big of a deal because the payoff is much bigger than that. So make sure to intuitively follow your direction and plan your way out. Avoid other people that are very good with words who might try to talk you out of things, quote unquote, because eventually you'll make it out on the other end and it'll break that cycle which has been part of your family for quite some time, and the ancestors really want that to happen. So that is what I'm seeing from my pile 1. So hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below or a like. I appreciate either. I will see you in another reading. Thanks for watching and bye bye for now. Hello my pile 2. So let's take a look at your cards. We're going to start off with these round ones in the bottom, which are the archetype cards. I didn't say that at the start, but now we know. Knowing is half the battle. And then we're going to take a look at the tarot cards here at the end. Let's take a look at what archetypes or themes they want you to take a look at. We have here agape. I think that's how you pronounce it. Agape I would describe as focusing on others as well as yourself, kind of like connecting the chain. Like service to others should take the foreground rather than service to self, which is not to say that you shouldn't do anything for yourself, but more like let there always be some type of element that helps other people as well as yourself. Next we have here the temple, which is kind of like an honoring card, a meditation card, a stepping back and observing the universe as is. Oop, there we go. And we have here the box, which I definitely take a look at. The reward, I almost want to say, after you're done focusing on all these other things over here, like you're taking the focus off of a purely selfish mission, you're focusing on the universe rather, because there is something in the middle of all this after this. It looks like a whole collection of boxes, but it could also be a maze. After all of that trouble and effort, you're going to reach this central point where we have the reward, or perhaps the main thing that you're striving after. And lastly, you have the mentor card. Your pile is the only one that has 4 archetype cards, but the mentor I see as one of the ancestors, or perhaps a small group of them, that are specifically here to guide you through this whole process of life, so to speak, or at the very least the most important parts of it. In any case, you can call upon them whenever you feel like you need some support or some answers, a little pat in the head, whatever it is you feel that you need. So we got this lineup over here where it looks as though you need to focus mostly on servicing other people, and then everything else will fall in line to reach the center, and there's always your backup team right here. So let's see what we have in the tarot cards. We're starting off with the 6 of Cups with a cute little puppy. So this is kind of like a remembrance card. It's kind of like the past. It's also a little bit of comfort, like your comfort zone. I think this is trying to say, because there's a bird in the tree, right? Yeah, there's at least one bird in the tree, and I kind of feel like you may have already had an inkling in the past that you might be here to do this type of thing. Like, the birds often are used as messengers, and I feel like some part of you in the past has noticed signs before, and I think that this is a confirmation that those signs came from the mentor and the people that try to support you, or at the very least your ancestors. And we have here the 5 of Swords, which is kind of like a conflict card. Might be that there is some verbal conflict in your life, definitely some battling of the minds. It's a very communication card. It's very words. It could also be online, like emails and stuff like that, chat messages, phones, anything like that. Like, there might be some issues going back and forth here. Like, I feel like these two together kind of point towards this is the past where things were so much cuter, and there was all this lovely flower stuff and just hopes and dreams and stuff like that, and then we're in the present, and it's kind of like this dog is remembering those days fondly while finding themselves in a situation where it's certainly no longer the case. So I really am drawn towards the temple in this case, like to drop the swords and to go deeper within, to calm yourself down. because you have a lot of skills. You can make all sorts of things happen, because the next card we have here is a magician. A magician is somebody who's very resourceful, so I feel like this is the ancestors telling you that you have a lot of skills and a lot of talent that you may not be aware of, and it is time to put those to good use. At the very least, start looking into them, start developing them, focus on the things that you want to see changed, in a positive, obviously. And we have here the Eight of Swords, which is telling us that you may perhaps still be trapped in that Five of Swords mentality. You've got some type of mental trap going on. You've caught yourself somehow, like there's a certain set of thoughts that are keeping you in a certain mode, and you need to take a look around you and see what's really going on, because I am about to put it on top of the Temple card over here. So I feel like this meditation card here with the Temple is going to help you get out of, first of all, this whole argumentative situation that you're in, and also to step out of that thought process, to just take a step back and observe yourself and others and see what's really going on. Try to get to the objective truth is what I'm trying to say here. Then we have Temperance, which is falling neatly in line with that, because Temperance is also like a temperer card. Like, you need to temper yourself. You need to indeed strike a balance, because the Temperance person on the cards usually has one foot in the water and one foot on the land, so you need to be somewhere in between the divine and the worldly. Try and make a connection with people. Agape is also a stone, and I'm kind of drawn to the fact that stones, well, people do connect spiritual traits to them. They are of the earth, so kind of like be that gem, like be of the earth, but also have that connection to the spirits. That's what it's trying to say here. And then we have a reverse King of Pentacles. Now this could be somebody who has an influence on your life, somebody who is usually fairly resourceful as well, and definitely likes to hand out or help people who might be not as effective as they should be. Perhaps you can give them a hand, or perhaps this is a representation of you as well. Like, you're normally somebody who does a lot of spending, not necessarily literally spending, could also be time and resources, and it might not be the best way to do things. I'm getting the impression that perhaps there are certain people who are, or who have come to rely on the fact that you spend a lot of time and resources on them, and even though it has been from a very good heart to do that, it's actually not really helping the person that you're helping or trying to help. Like, example from my own life, for instance, there's people that I've tried to help achieve things. Like, I felt like they had a lot of stuff that they could do, that they could achieve, and if only they could see that, if only they could get that break, if only they could get off of their butt and actually do things, and then they would finally find success. So I tried tugging on them for a long time. I tried to help them out, buy stuff for them, give them tips, give them advice, and then ultimately they didn't do it anyway, because that was not their own volition. They didn't ask for it, even though they did appreciate the stuff that I gave them for sure, because most people like that. Our gifts, time and attention are always well received, but it wasn't their initiative, it wasn't their plan, it wasn't their time, but they didn't feel like doing anything themselves. And if you're pushing and trying to do things for them, and they might not do it anyway, because that's just not what they're going to do, or it might not end up the way that they want it, or they'll get the success but feel like they didn't earn it because you're the one who pushed them towards it rather than they achieving it themselves. So I feel like that's what I'm getting in anyway. This might be something that you might be struggling with, being too charitable and wanting to help out people a little bit too much, because people can help themselves, and it's best to wait until they actually ask for help to step in and do something then, rather than preemptively assuming that they're not going to be able to do it themselves and doing it for them, which of course is not how you see your charitable actions towards them, but that's kind of how it comes across. If you go ahead and do everything for people as wonderfully as you might be able to do things, they'll just take a step back and go, oh well, they've got it covered, I don't have to do anything, I'm not as good as them, I'm not as fast as them, I'm not as smart as them, I'm not as resourceful as them, blah blah blah. So it kind of hurts their self-confidence. Okay, so that's a lot of King of Pentacles talk for one card. Let's move on to the next one. We have here the Hierophant in reverse, so this might be, that might actually That actually suits it really well, because this is the result of what we were just talking about, the Hierophant in reverse. Kind of like somebody who has a certain authority, and in this case the authority is kind of, the word thwarted came up, but I think it's more of skewing type of thing. Like I said, you become this leader or some type of person who takes up a central spot that other people might have liked to have taken, or maybe could have taken if they had been given a chance. So you're kind of like the central point, even though you don't need to be. People should be able to do things on their own. You're guiding the flock over here, but perhaps you're guiding them the wrong way, or in a way that was not the most advantageous for them. So that's what we got. Then we have here the Ace of Pentacles. So this is definitely a new beginning. They're definitely urging you to strike out on your own, turn over a new leaf, let people do their own thing, and then you'll be much closer. Actually, because if you look over here, sorry to interrupt real quick, but because we started off here with the agape, or agape, whatever you want to call it, I think agape is more likely, and this whole lineup with towards the box and the mentor, this is kind of the result of you taking this path, because normally you would be very serviceable to others, but not in the way that it helps them. So if you take that step back and temper your actions, your thoughts as well, other people can start new things and take new initiatives, and so can you, because if your hands are free of taking care of other people, you can start taking care of yourself, taking care of your own business, and being of service in a way that actually helps people rather than gets in the way. And I'm sure there are still some people listening thinking, oh my god, I've been a terrible person. The cards are saying that I'm a terrible person. Obviously that is not the case. It's more you wanted to help a little too much, and people can help themselves, and they really appreciate you. I'm sure they do. I'm pretty sure a lot of people look up to you. The ancestors are certainly trying to tell you that, and you could be so much better for them if you were to take a slightly different approach. So the last card we have here is the Ace of Wands in reverse, because this, I feel, is what's currently happening. There are certain initiatives that are currently not being taken. This dog is not chasing this bone or stick, rather, because they don't feel like they need to. So that's something to watch for. And it might also mean that you don't always have to be the first one to take the initiative, because that's kind of like, there's two aces right next here. You already got this Ace of Pentacles, like there's new resources coming in, new initiative, etc. But you don't have to be on top of everything. You don't have to be the first one to step up and do stuff. This might actually free you up to a lot of other projects that you could be doing for yourself and others in the way that suits everybody. So that is what I feel your ancestors are trying to tell you. Hope you found it interesting. Make sure to leave a like or a comment in the comment section below. That really helps the channel along. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video, and bye-bye for now. Hello, pile number 3. This is your pile. We're going to start off with the round cards at the bottom, which are the archetype cards. I didn't say that at the start, but now we know. Knowing is half the battle. And then we're going to move on to the tarot cards. So let's first take a look at the themes, or the archetypes as they call that your ancestors want you to focus on, starting with the Dead End. Alright, so this might look like a terrible card because it's kind of like the Death card, but as you know, the Death card is not just about endings, it's also about beginnings, letting things go that perhaps don't serve you anymore, closing chapters, starting new ones, etc. Next we have the Healer. Alright, so this is a nice logical next step. After you have ended one thing, it's time to recuperate, heal from the last chapter before you can move on to the next. Oop, like that. And the last one is the Ocean. Alright, so this is kind of like the enormous amount of resources that you have available to you. That's what this strikes me as. And the ocean itself also has some seeds in it. Like, I feel this means you have a very strong connection to spirituality, but also to the mortal realm, like kind of an in-between, but I think it's more in the spiritual side because the ocean, it can run very deep, and even though we can't see much on the surface, there are a lot of streams going on down there, and I feel like you are capable of a lot of deep connections that perhaps you're not even aware of. But this lineup over here is effectively telling us that if you were to end certain things, let certain things go, heal yourself, you would be able to make this connection a lot easier. And then we'll see what the tarot card says you have to do with that, because we have a whole bunch of tarot cards here. Well, let's see. It starts off with the World, also known as Cosmos. So this is always a card like, okay, this is either you're going to step in the world, people are going to notice, it's going to be public, things like that. And I feel like this is you, I would almost say introducing yourself to the world, but like making that connection, flying out there, because you can see that the person on the card has wings. I feel like after you're done letting this go and healing yourself and you find the connection, you're going to be able to make better strides out there in the world. And they're definitely looking for you to do that. Next we have here the reversed Knight of Inspiration, which is kind of like a warning, because Knight of Inspiration is the Wands deck, and so this is the Knight of Wands charging forward with the fireworks in the background and everything else going super fast and on fire and everything's crazy active. But if the card is in reverse, I see that as a warning to not go head over heels. So even though you might feel like you've been healed and you got this connection, you can't just go crazy. You need to take those first steps carefully and definitely be slower than you want to be, perhaps initially in anyways, until you've got the hang of it. Don't go crazy right from the start. Just ease yourself into this new reality that you found yourself in, because I do feel like they know that you have a lot of energy, the ancestors do, and that you're just chomping at the bit literally to get out of there, or get out there rather, to do things. But you might want to tread carefully to not burn yourself out. And then we have the Four of Wands here, because we've got a lot of harmony over here. Four of Wands is that harmony card, a homecoming card. You feel like where you are is where you need to be, then you're in the right direction. Doesn't mean you need to go sit on your laurels, but it's definitely a good hint that you are doing the things that they want you to do, or that you came on this earth to do. Next we have the Emperor in reverse. So this is, I feel like this is somebody who has been giving you advice, or fulfilled a certain role in your life that was very important, and they might not have the best plan in mind for you. I feel like they do think that they have the best intentions in any ways, but it's not going to lead you where you need to be. So you need to thank them for their help and their advice for all these years. I'm pretty sure they've given some solid advice as well that you definitely needed to follow, but right now they're thinking in a different mindset and a different frame of mind than you need to be thinking from. So I don't think that they're going to be able to provide you with the wisdom and inspiration that you need. Next we have, oh, here it is, Death card as well. Of course it's a Death card because we're about to reach the dead end over there. Cards tend to overlap, so here is a confirmation that you need to let go of something, and then come from the pupae over here, I think that's what it is. Arise as the butterfly that you were meant to be in another reality, another chapter of your life. Then we've got, hang on, relax. Then we've got the Five of Cups. So you might feel like there are certain things that have been taken from you, or certain things that you would have rather had done, or that you've lost something, but there is still hope out there. The Five of Cups, the standard is a man looking at 3 cups that have been tipped over, and thereby ignoring the 2 that are perfectly good, that are still standing behind him, as well as a bridge that leads to the town beyond. So don't overlook the options that you do have, because there are more options in your life than you perhaps think. So look around what it is that you really have, look around what it is that you really need, what you can do without, and then take your actions from them. Then there is the Star in reverse. I feel like this is perhaps a bit of a warning. I wouldn't say don't draw attention to yourself, but be realistic. And I think that's also another follow-up of the Five of Cups here. So as well as looking at what you do have, also make sure to look at what you're really capable of, rather than trying to be something that you're not. That's what's coming through in any case. Like you may feel like you're destined for certain types of actions in this world, but perhaps that's not going to happen, and perhaps your princess is in another castle, as the saying goes, or prince, depending on what it is that you like. So maybe you want to be more realistic about what it is that you can and can't do. Once you're done figuring out exactly what it is that you have available to you. Last tarot card here is the Two of Inspiration in reverse. This is normally the Two of Wands. Two of Wands is usually like planning trips, trying to figure out how to tackle the world perhaps, and I think this is in alignment with this star and the Five of Cups as well. This whole back row is about the same thing. Don't move in the way that is not practical for you. Make plans that actually suit who you are, where you want to go. Be realistic about who you are and where you want to go, where you can go, what your limits are, etc. And then you will get where you need to be. Because I feel like this lineup is saying, at least the answers are saying through this lineup, that perhaps you have dreams of reaching a certain level of status, a certain level of renown, or I don't know, maybe wealth and income and things like that, that are not realistic, and perhaps also not what you really want, because some people feel like they want all the cars, all the money, the big houses, the whatever it is that you can buy with lots of money. But once they get there, they're not as happy as they thought they would be, perhaps even less happy than they thought they would be, or less happy when they started. And if you follow the track at your own pace, carefully making sure to check in with yourself every step of the way, is this really an issue, or is there something else I can do to solve things for myself? Is this really me? Is this really my path? Then eventually you will not end up lost in the desert over here. You will get to where you need to go, which is the Four of Inspiration over there, the Four of Wands, where you can see people being in perfect harmony together. Yeah, you need to be able to connect with people more rather than seeing yourself as this one big star in people's world, like the star over here. You can be together in more of a collective group and shine together. I think that's the whole thing that they're trying to say. So that is what I'm seeing for my pile 3s. Hope you found it interesting. Be sure to leave a like or a comment in the comment section below. That really helps the channel along. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video, and bye bye for now.